Welcome back, my yellow subscribers. Everyone, including my grandma, is talking about the Canon R5. So let's talk about it too. This release is aiming at convincing all of us that they're in it for the win and that they finally have listened to their customers. So we're getting a new sensor. It's probably going to be 40 something megapixels, especially because they're going for the 8K video, which is the next highlight. If you just thought about 8K, I think 8K is like their highlight hit, trying to challenge any other company out there. 8K, 4K at 120p. I have to say, that's really good. It's impressive. Anyone would want that in the filmmaking industry. 12 frames per second mechanical shutter, 20 frames per second with the silent shutter, just like the A9. Finally, including in-body image stabilization. Dual card slots. I don't get why Canon promotes their dual pixel autofocus like if it was an added feature in there. It's just a given with the times. If you have a Canon camera, you expect it to have dual pixel autofocus. So is this the sign that we should all move back to Canon after moving back away in exile, being with Sony, hanging out with Fuji and Nikon? One thing I can tell you is that they're trying really hard to catch up, and I think their work has paid off because Canon is that traditional camera company that has been giving us the very bare minimum for the last couple of years. They have not been innovating as much as other companies. They've kept their pricing and their system pretty traditional in terms of the tier that they put their cameras in. And so it's left a lot of people wanting more features, more innovation, more variation in lenses. And so their response was the EOS R, which I had the pleasure of trying. And although I did like the camera, I felt like it wasn't enough to keep me with Canon. And so I've been a true Sony fanboy for a couple years already because the innovation is there. They don't skimp out on features. You can pretty much pick up almost any of the newest cameras and they're gonna be great. They're gonna have all the best autofocus. They're gonna have tons of video options, although some of them are confusing, but they're there. In terms of picture profiles, you're gonna get 120p, you're gonna get the 4K, although there are some limitations, but that's because they haven't released their update yet. However, the innovation from Sony, Fuji, Panasonic is unrivaled by Canon and Nikon. They're really pushing the limits so that everyone notices them, and that work has really paid off because tons of people have moved over and have noticed that the mirrorless is the answer, is the future. I remember back when I started playing around with the Sonys and I was adapting Canon glass. I was using vintage glass. There were so many options that gave you the flexibility to use the lenses you love on a camera that is flexible enough to give you results. What is Canon trying to do with this R5? Because at this point, I feel like many of us have already moved to Sony, Panasonic, or Fuji. This is like the pat on the back for those who have remained loyal to the company, and also a luxury in many ways. Since they've fallen behind in technology, their input and their advances now seem more like a luxury market rather than being open to a bigger audience, kind of like Sony, Fuji, by offering different levels and pricing that is reasonable and quite honestly historic for full frame material. But to me, the real message here is what Canon's trying to do. And I really don't think they're trying to convert anybody, which is really difficult to understand because they've lost a lot of customers, including myself. I started with Canon. It's a hassle to move from systems. And that's my next point. Let's say people do get this camera. You can't get a decent setup without spending several $1,000s, which is ridiculous. At least with the Sonys and the Fujis, we now have budget options so that anyone can aspire to be a photographer or a filmmaker, pick up a camera at a very different and affordable price along with a decent lens and start creating. The R system here is starting to feel like it's like a luxury item, kind of like the Leicas or the medium format cameras, because every single incredible lens that you may want is going to be $2,500 or more, plus the $3,500 camera. Sony and Fuji has been lucky to have price differences. With Sony, it's been third parties, which they've allowed in a different strategy. And with Fuji, it's just the fact that they're APS-C and their lenses are cheaper. It's shocking that Canon has finally put something out there that is, so far, not messed up in any way or held back like they've done in other cameras. And they're well known for that. And I feel like at this point, it's kind of hard to get love if you've done that to your customers in the past, and now finally you come out with something amazing to make them come back. But even then, the investment is a challenge there. My thoughts on this camera is that, yes, it sounds incredible. Will I be switching? No. Because I've made a decent investment in what I have, and I believe in having more affordable options and not creating like this special market. And so for me, that's Sony, that's Fuji, and all these other companies that have grown to the stature of Canon to rival them and shake them enough to bring something out like this. So we'll see how successful it is. I would love to try one, but I'm probably not gonna switch because I'm really happy with what I've got. And the reality is, 8K, more megapixels, you can still make a great image with less megapixels, with less video size, 8K, 4K. We've got so many options now. You can do a lot of things with the technology we already have. What we want is something more accessible and innovative, and I just hope Canon is actually aiming for that. So I don't know if it was a change of heart or leadership, but it looks like Canon is trying to bring back those Canon loyal customers and see if they can get hooked onto their RF system. But in the meantime, I'd say wait and see what's going to go on. Maybe try it out. But remember, the investment is in glass. And that's a big investment they're asking of you if you went with the RF system. So I hope you enjoyed this video. There was no point to it because it's just an announcement of a camera that no one that I know has yet, and lots of people that have been watching are just talking about it, so I wanted to talk about it too. Why not? I hope you watched it and you enjoyed it, and go ahead and comment below. What are your thoughts on this? Is it shocking? Do you think it's going to encourage people to switch? Because I honestly don't think at this point. Thanks for watching.